how could our bishops vote for Obama when he specifically clarified that he was supportive of Planned Parenthood, late-term abortions, founding high schools with $300 million worth of condoms, etc.? I don't know if any bishops voted for Obama, and I don't know anybody else who does. I never asked any bishop, other bishop, how did you vote? And I don't think they would tell me if I did ask. So how do you know this? I don't know how any of you voted, and I'm not going to ask you. So I can't go out of here and say, well, half the people here voted for Obama. How could I say that responsibly without being a sinner? It's a sin to detract and to classify a whole group of people, bishops or anybody else, in that way without any way of knowing it is simply sinful. It's worse than gossip. It's character assassination. So I've heard other people say that. I don't know what happened. Somebody might have said it on EWTN, that he thought half the bishops voted for Obama. Well, that's sinful to say that. And I hope nobody said that. Particularly, I hope nobody responsible said that, because there is no way you can know. Now, that leaves open, of course, the problem of what do we do now, and why did people vote for Obama? Well, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. But when the economy tanked in October, I think people looked around and said, my God, who can govern? Which is a very good question to ask before you vote. And I think there was a loss of confidence in the present administration, which did very many good things. Particularly, it was certainly more pro-life than what we've got now, and what we're going to have to keep fighting now. But in the last analysis, I imagine a lot of people wanted to know, well, who can govern and get us out of the economic mess that we're in now? Whether or not the present administration can get us out of this mess, I don't know, but let's pray that they do. So, you know, there are all kinds of reasons why people vote. You have to have a very, 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 very good reason to vote for somebody who is pro-abortion, as is the president. But that's up for people to look at and say. The reason why abortion is fundamental to the common good of a country is because it does away with a human right, namely the right to life, which is foundational for every other right. If you're dead, you have no other rights. So absolutely abortion is the primary question. But it's not the only question. It has to be taken in context. And I suppose the context of the financial collapse led a lot of people in desperation to vote for someone who they just hope will help us out of our present morass. I don't know. I could just trying to think into the mindset of why people might vote one way or another. But it was Hobson's choice. And so now we have to be more careful than ever. And the Catholics who voted for Obama have an obligation in conscience to put pressure on the government to say, we voted for you, not because you're pro-abortion, but for other reasons. And so we don't want you to follow out the abortion agenda, because he looks like he's intent on doing that. It's ironic, at the National Prayer Breakfast, he was supposed to have said, God never permits the killing of an innocent person. That's exactly what abortion is. So how you can put that statement together with pro-abortion policies is not something I understand. I mean that if you have a constitutional order that gets its legitimacy from its legal protection of everyone, citizen or not, and that's why we had a good legal system, because our legal system, at least in theory, protected everyone. Even when it failed with black people for many years, it failed with others. But in theory, our legal system protected everyone, including the unborn, until Roe versus Wade, because they're members of the human race. They have a human mother, a human father, they're genetically individuated, and they're alive. So it's not just an appendage to someone else's body. It is a separate body. And while undeveloped, nonetheless demands respect. Each of us was an embryo. So when we made those people outlaws, when we took the protection of law away from the unborn, we destroyed our constitutional order. And we've had nothing but violence ever since. Because if you can solve a personal problem by killing someone who's still unborn, You can solve a personal problem by killing someone who is born. And I think that unless that's changed, it's an immoral law, we're going to dissolve. I really believe that. So it is absolutely crucial. It is absolutely, the reason why it is so attractive is because it's hooked up with the freedom of women, which is something we should all encourage and support. But the freedom of anybody shouldn't be freedom to kill. And so we have to somehow find ways to get a sense of the necessary freedom of women and everybody else. We're all in it together without killing somebody else. But we have as a country killed in every generation to be free. Take a look at from the revolution on. Every generation has had its war. And what's the excuse for the war? Not God, not Christ, not Mohammed. The excuse for our wars is freedom. We're defending freedom, we're defending democracy, we're keeping the democratic country together. So in every generation we have killed to be free. And now we come along with an abortion procedure that says you have to kill in order to be free. We say, well, all right, we've done that all along. It's very hard culturally to fight that argument. But we're in deep trouble unless we do continue to do so. So I encourage you to continue to be very strong on that. And those who did vote for the present administration with an honest conscience, because they're just terrified of the economic situation or for other reasons, have an obligation now to tell that administration, we didn't vote for you because you're pro-abortion. Don't do this. We'll see what happens next. But if you don't do that, we're going to be in deep trouble. The bishops don't run this country. I don't run this country, nor do we collectively. The people do. So you're as much responsibility for the future of the country as I am. And if you want me to do things, I'll try to do them. I want you to do things. We have to do it together. All of us are citizens.